most people will be more successful and make more money working for somebody else. If you're not willing to live off ramen and bread, do not go into business for yourself. Don't build a business and then try to find success.
All right, welcome everybody back to the next episode of the Kill Chain podcast. Today we're doing something a little bit different. Instead of a tech deep dive, because we usually talk about cybersecurity, AI, and like tech and doom and gloom and all the things happening in the tech world with tech and logistics. We're going to take a step back and actually shift over a little bit more into more of the business operations, program management side, and probably talk about jiu-jitsu and nutrition. So, Aaron, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to tell everybody
That was a nice way of telling the audience I'm not smart enough to talk about tech.
Oh, no.
And geek out on it. I was kidding.
No, I think it's actually more because we have not really gotten into like the management, the business, and the operations side. Like
Sure.
We've talked some startup stuff, but like your career is actually very interesting, right? Like you spent 20 years as the chief of operations at Stratcom, which is Strategic Operations Command for those not familiar with the Air Force lingo. So do you want to just kind of give a background on where you've
Sure.
been?
I'm a chameleon is probably the best way to describe me. I've done a little bit of everything over the course of 35 years. 28-year military vet. I did 8 years active duty and then 20 years in the reserves. The reserves is when I was up at US Stratcom. And I touched about every part of that command at some point, but the majority of my time was in the operations center as chief of operations, or sometimes you hear it called deputy battle watch commander, which is just basically the person right next to the battle watch commander running the nuclear mission. There's a good movie out on Netflix called House of Dynamite.
House of Dynamite.
Yeah, it's about a rogue missile getting launched, but it centers a lot about Stratcom. But anyway, if you watch that movie, that's what I did. All those Stratcom scenes, that's the room I was in.
So House of Dynamite, is it like a newer movie or is this?
Within the last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2025. I think it came out.
All right, I know what I'm going to be doing later.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate. It's pretty spot on.
Okay.
I know a few people in the movie. They pulled a few. They have the subject matter experts to consult, and they gave them some parts in the movie. So
Nice.
a few of those guys I worked with. But yeah, anyway, and then born and raised in Pennsylvania, went to the Air Force Academy for college. Not really college. I never say I went to college. I went to an institution for 4 years, and then
You were institutionalized?
I was institutionalized for 4 years, and then went through flight school. Was an electronic warfare officer, and then got into information operations up at Stratcom, and then into the nuclear mission and stuff like that. Picked up some project management there as well. Cut my teeth in the civilian world in the IT sector over at First Data, Fiserv, for a few years, and then bounced around on some government contracts, as you know how that industry goes.
Oh, yeah.
Here today, gone tomorrow, depending on the fiscal year and
the administration
and who wins the bid. So, and then recently got out of that, and now doing some project management work at a company called HDR here in town, which is a big engineering architecture firm. And I'm just running some IT projects for them as well. Spent a decade at Nebraska Omaha in their business college, teaching operations, Lean, Six Sigma, project management, logistics, and some entrepreneurship because I had my own business at the time. And I own a martial arts gym here in town for the last 23 years. And that's kind of me in a nutshell. A little bit of everything. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, a little bit. There's this joke, and I think it goes into multiple different verticals, but it's like, do you know how to tell if somebody's a pilot? They'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, do you know how someone's in jiu-jitsu? They'll tell you.
Yeah. CrossFitters, too. They're the same way. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because, I kind of like to very compartmentalize areas of my life. And, so I got the whole martial arts side. I got the whole military side. I was in academia for a while. And, I don't let much bleed over happen between the two.
Well, it's really interesting because I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Because when we first met, we met through a mutual friend and someone that was at your gym, and I was interested in starting jiu-jitsu. And so we started talking, and he was like, yeah, he's an Air Force guy. He was at Stratcom, this and that. And I looked you up on LinkedIn, and there's like none of that. You just like on LinkedIn, you got some stuff about like nutrition.
Yeah, 100%.
And this and that. And I'm like, okay, this guy's chameleon is a great word, right? It's like,
yeah, when you look down on my bio, you'll see the one-liners of what I did. But I used to have my LinkedIn really operationally, logistically focused type stuff, and I was like, it's one of those things where you have your, like, what they call your zone of excellence and your zone of genius.
Okay.
One you like to do, one you're good at. And the whole operations and process improvement stuff, like, I'm good at doing that. I don't necessarily like doing that, but I can make money doing that. And the fitness and nutrition is like that passion project, that labor of love that I like doing.
Right.
And I remember just looking at my Facebook or my LinkedIn one day, and I was used to do all kinds of operational stuff. I was just like, I don't even like doing that. So I just started posting nutrition stuff because you didn't see a lot of it on there.
Right.
And then I just started, I'm going to just post things I like to talk about. And then if I get people talking about it, great. If not, it's just content I'm throwing out. And it keeps me researching, right? It keeps me just in the weeds of nutrition and fitness and what's an obscure topic I can talk about. And then, just kind of keeps me educating myself as well.
Right. But I honestly think, doing that, people notice the passion, right? Like if you're posting about stuff, like you're like, yeah, they can tell that your heart's not in it. But like when you're passionate about something, you can tell the difference in content creators by like who truly lives what they're talking about and who's just like finding an angle to make $1 on social media.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see the sell.
Well, and it was really interesting too. We were having a conversation just the other day about defining success and like why that's really important. So now we're going to kind of bridge into some of that, like, operational business and type topics and stuff. And, how do you see, like, what is the most important thing when you're looking, well, I guess it's a leading question because I'm getting into, like we talked about, again, like how do you define success? Like how do you look at success? And when you're giving advice, like in teaching at the school or at the university, and you're telling people like you got to define success, like why? Like why is that so important?
Yeah, that's something I started doing in my entrepreneur class because, when you ask people, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you want to own your own business? And I would get the classic answers every year. I don't want to work from somebody. I don't want to sell anything. I want to take vacation whenever I want. I want to be my own schedule and this, that, and the other thing. And in my head, I'm thinking,
I want to earn passive income.
Yeah, I don't want to keep all my money. I'm tired of somebody. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, right. All the fantasy world of being an entrepreneur, which it can happen. And I would tell them, hey, listen, if you want guaranteed income, weekends off, guaranteed holidays, insurance, stability, if you want to sacrifice all that, go be an entrepreneur.
Right. If you want to give up your health, lose all your hair.
And because you are gambling on all that. And I think a lot of times people don't realize the benefits they have when they work for somebody, all these intangible things you don't see happening that allows you to work for somebody. But I also understand being an entrepreneur myself, there is this wonderful freedom that you have. And the only person you have to answer to is that person you're looking at in the mirror. So I started, my follow-up question to them is, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? I would say, how do you define success? Because I think too often people get into business and don't really understand what success is. Now they're just they're driving this thing, but they don't know where they're driving it. And success can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Right.
And I think too often in this day and age of social media, we see success as the $10,000 watch, the Beamer,
the jet,
the boat,
yacht,
everything, all this stuff. And that can be success. But success can also be, hey, you know what? I just want to work for myself and provide for my family. I just want the freedom of working for myself. Or I just love doing this thing. And I can get lost for hours in doing it. If I can make some money at it, that's great too. Or I love helping people. That's why I'm doing this. So I would tell them, hey, listen, define success and be specific in how you're defining it. And it can change. How you define success can change. As you know, owning a business, your 3 and 5 and 10-year plan changes. And how you define success will change as you pivot. But define success and then build a business to make that happen. Don't build a business and then try to find success.
Right. Know where you're going from the start.
Because you could fail miserably, or you could just wander aimlessly. Like, define success. If it's $10 million, fine. Good luck. But if you got a hard number, or if it's all about the bling, or if it's all about helping, whatever that is, define that, be specific. Now build a business to make that happen. So kind of reverse engineer the business. And there can be a lot of ways to get to that success point. So rather than focus on, I'm going to build a better water bottle and then figure out what success is, define success and then figure out ways to get there. Like, it could be 100 different businesses could get you to that success point. It might not be that first thing that you thought of.
And does that hold true for everything? Like as you're reverse engineering, I was just thinking of it like a map, right? Like you know where you're going to go. There's 100 ways to get there based on traffic, what kind of roads you want to go on, so on and so forth. But like even knowing where you're going to go, like that even helps you figure out like what is your vision, what is your mission, like what are your values, like that can help make every decision along that way.
You know, I've done a lot of process development and process improvement in my career. And anytime I would go into a situation, I'd be asked to do this. I'd be like, well, what's the end goal? Well, we don't know. I go, I can't build a process. I have to know where I want to be and then build it backwards. I can't just start building a process not knowing where this thing is going. Because now we can wander all over the place, right? So I got to know where I want to be, and then I can build something to make that happen, right? Same way in a business. Like, what is my success point? And then, you know, let's figure out a business or businesses, plural, to make that happen. And truth be told, like if you have this monetary number in your head, it's probably going to take multiple streams of income to make that happen.
Right.
In a lot of cases. But if you like to bake and you want to make a living baking because you enjoy baking, okay, let's develop a business that allows me to do this thing I enjoy. Now, I also caveat them. I'll say, listen, if you have a passion, the quickest way to hate your passion is to try to make it a business.
Build a business around it. Yep, absolutely.
You know, we used to always joke because at UNO, you know, I call him Uncle Warren. Warren Buffett's the darling of the UNO Business School. Of course. There's a mural of him that's like 10 feet high of just his head. I'm like, Jesus. But, you know, him and his buddy Bill would always, every couple of years, would do a keynote speech at UNO. And there's always planted questions in the crowd. You know, a kid gets up with their card. And there's always this one question where it's like, what is your advice to a new graduate entering the business world? And they, without a doubt, they always say, find something you're passionate about. And I would always bring that up in my class, and I go, okay, well, when they say that, what does that mean? And of course, I'd be like, well, do something you really love, or do something that, you know, that you look forward to doing. I go, that's what you think, but let me tell you what they're thinking as business owners. They want passionate people because you'll work 60 hours a week and they'll pay you for 40.
Fair.
Because you're gonna put your head down, you're gonna bust your ass because you love doing what you're doing.
Man, I've been one of those before.
And you're gonna climb the company. Now, when they say passion, they want, because when you're passionate about something, you'll just do it for hours on end and not care. You don't even care how good you are at it. Like gamers, they're passionate about, they don't care if they win or lose. They're just doing it because they love the process of doing it.
Right.
Right. So I say, so you got to be careful when you say passion, what you mean by that. Right. And then, can you really make a living at doing it? That's very hard to do in a lot of cases. So I think that's where I started getting them to, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? How are you going to define success? What are you passionate about? You probably don't want to make that a business necessarily. If it's a side hustle, great. And then decide, what are you actually good at? You know, you and I talked about, what degree am I going to do? And you're saying, do something where you can build something and then figure out the business on the back end, right? So just because you like doing something doesn't mean you're good at it. And you could be good at something and make a lot of money in it. Doesn't mean you like it.
True.
At the same time. I've had plenty of jobs where I was good at it, I made a lot of money, and I was like, I hate doing this every day. So then you got to make that, you get that hard decision. It's like, okay, do I pivot and do something I enjoy doing and maybe take a 50% pay cut here?
Right.
Or do I keep taking the money and dreading going in every day just because I happen to be good at this?
Right. Is it like, how often do you find people that find that perfect center of a Venn diagram where it's like they're great at it, they love it, they can do it for hours?
I think it's hard. I think most people convince themselves that they love it. They love the paycheck.
The mental gymnastics.
They love the paycheck. They love the stability, but they don't necessarily love what they're doing.
But you convince yourself that you do so you can keep going every day.
We can convince ourselves of anything. And now, mind you, there's things that help. Like if you're going to pay me $250,000 to do something that I hate, I could look at my bank account and go, I can learn to like this. It's like I can get around it, and figure it out. But I think that in the long run, a lot of people that are burnt out, or just a lot of people that just, I gotta go into work. And I think that weighs on you after a while.
Yeah, I found this interesting quote recently. I don't know who said it, so I'd love to give credit to it. But it's either like one of the Alex Hermosis or one of the popular influencers right now. But they're just like, well, if somebody feels burnout, it's because they don't have the right mission. If you have the right mission, like you'll never experience burnout. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think yes and no. When I tell people, I want to find a job I enjoy. It's like, at some point, work always becomes work. Mm-hmm. You and I both own businesses. I don't know. I can only speak for myself. There's days I show up hoping the tornado knocked the damn thing down. And I could go, well, guess I'll collect the insurance and call it a day. Darn,
Well, lately, there's been a higher chance of that happening in Omaha.
And then there's days where you can't wait to get in. But then there's days where you dread coming in. And I think all jobs have that ebb and flow. Right. But I think that's always the challenge. It's like when we talk entrepreneurship, what I would tell most kids, and I'd be honest with them, I go, most of you don't have the stomach to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Right. You don't have the stomach to sit there and go, how am I going to pay the bills? We've all been there. Every entrepreneur's been there. I don't think I'm going to make rent this month, let alone payroll.
But yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm definitely not paying myself. Hey, honey, it's ramen and Wonder Bread this month. It's just kind of like if you're not.
Right.
I used to always tell the kids, I go, listen, if you're not willing to live off ramen and bread, do not go into business for yourself. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to sleep in your car, because it might get to that. I mean, God willing, it doesn't. But
right.
I know plenty of entrepreneurs that lived in their car for a little while until the money started coming in, and they could, that lived in the office. Mm-hmm. Slept in the office because they went all in. They got rid of their apartment because they didn't have the money for the lease. They slept at the office because it was probably cheaper than a lease. And I would always say to them, if you're not willing to do that, you don't probably have the stomach to go into business for yourself. I used to have friends of mine own businesses come in and talk. That's kind of where I kind of made my hay at UNO. Students really like the adjunct professors because those are people that are only teaching a class or two but are still out in industry.
Right. Still have that kind of real world experience 100%. On top of the knowledge.
And I'd always bring in friends of mine who started their own business. And when they would say, hey, what do you want me to talk about? I would always say, tell them every horror story that you experienced.
How long do you have?
And so they went, okay. Because I wanted them to understand the reality. All they see is TikTok and Instagram and all the success.
Yep.
But they don't understand that's by far the exception than the rule. The big exception than the rule. Most fail. We know most businesses fail. How many times are you close to failing?
Oh my God, so many. I mean, literally phone calls to lawyers like, how do we shut it down? Like, we're done. Yeah. And then, you just get like, what's your Hail Mary pass? If you were going to do one, this is what it is. Like, throw it and thank God someone caught it, and then you're still up and running.
I've had my lawyer and accountant turn to me going, what are you doing? I'm just like, I just love doing it, man. I'm just leave me alone. I'm fine. But and I had two examples. Both happened to be construction workers because there's such an ebb and flow in construction too. And one of the students said, hey, what was it like when you first started your business? And the guy goes, did you ever get sick and just couldn't take a solid crap for a month? He goes, that was the first year. He goes, I didn't know if I was going to just pay rent, pay mortgage, feed the kids. He goes, that's just the reality of it.
Right.
And then I had another guy come in and he goes, how many guys are stressed? And they all raise their hands. And he goes, what are you stressed about? And he would go around the room and, I got finals, I got to work and go to school and this and that and the other thing. And he goes, listen, my bankers called me in one time and sat me down and said, in 30 days, we're coming to take everything. He goes, I was that far behind on my payments.
Wow. 30 days.
He goes, and I had 3 kids, 2 in diapers, a mortgage to pay, and a whole company counting on me. And the bank said, you got 30 days to figure this out. He goes, now talk to me about stress.
Yeah.
And they're all like, ugh. And, but that's what I want them to hear. There's just that harsh reality of, and like we talked a couple of times, the second you think you're at the tip of the mountain, that can get pulled out from under you pretty
So
quick
quick.
if you're not careful.
Oh gosh.
I mean, how many companies do you see, big companies, go bankrupt all the time?
All the time.
And you're like, how did they screw that up? Now think about, and they have all kinds of resources to fall back on. Now, what I call, you and I, we're not even small business, we're micro businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not even on the small business radar, right? So now you build the business and you hope that, okay, you try to create a foundation where you can fall back because you know you're going to have a few dry months possibly. I used to always tell people, don't plan on making money for 2 years. Like if you go in knowing I'm not going to make money for 2 years and plan accordingly and then build it on the skinny, life will be a lot easier. But if you go in thinking you're going to start making cash hand over fist,
nope,
you're going to get killed.
I made way more money before I became an entrepreneur, working for other people. But just you're taking the risk. You're looking at the long term, and you're taking hopefully calculated risks, but very big risks, and hoping that it'll pay off one day, right? And so like that's kind of the trade. Like, are you willing to put? I mean, at this point, we're running. I mean, you're what, 20 years into the gym
23,
now?
23.
Yeah, we just hit 8 on one of ours. So it's just let's see what happens. Take the risk and let's go.
And truth told, most people will be more successful and make more money working for somebody else. Most people.
Yeah, it's
because most people don't have the wherewithal to run their own business and take the punches and keep moving forward. And most people turn tail at the first sight of adversity, and then just, well, it didn't work, and then just run. And rather than just, no, I'm going to figure it out and plow through it. Or just, like I said, willing to eat ramen for a month and just and figure it out. And most people don't have that wherewithal. They don't have that grit to them.
Right. And I mean, as a Marine and as a martial artist, I always talk like you got to be willing to get punched in the face every single day.
100%.
And like, do you lay on the ground and bleed, or do you get back up and try again? Right. You just got to keep going. And if you don't got that, then, I think there's so much, like with the influencers and the rise of social media over the last decade, like everybody makes everything look sexy, right? No matter what it is.
And
it's
easy.
And easy. And like, I've seen a lot of early entrepreneurs or people wanting to be entrepreneurs thinking like, the sexiest thing in the world is going and raising millions of dollars from investors. And it's, don't do it. Now, don't get me wrong. So with Fleet Defender, we have investors. I love them. Like, we hand selected. We made sure we had exactly the right investor. We made sure that we brought in the money that we needed to do the thing that we needed to do. And it's worked out pretty well. And I mean, we have phenomenal investors on it. But when I'm like talking to, people starting their own company, they're like, I'm going to go out and raise 3 million. I'm like, wait, like bootstrap it first, like try to get to this amount of ARR first, like get some valuation in it first, and then make sure you like handpick your investors. Don't ever go in like, I need the money to stay alive, because that's like when you're going to lose everything.
Sure. And I think a lot of that too, even at the business college, they were big on pitching and holding pitch contests. And how many incubators are in town now? They're all over the place. And come on in and pitch your ideas. We got investors. And it's almost become to the point where getting the investment, getting the VC is the win.
Right. Instead of getting the customer. I feel like that's the win. That's the hard thing, is getting the customer, right? If you have the customer, the investors will come.
The money shows up if you have sales and you have customer.
Right.
But at some point, it's like you still got to figure out how to do this. And I try to tell people, like, that's not, I would tell the kids, listen, go ahead, pitch your thing, get a VC. That's not the win, guys. You haven't done anything yet.
Right.
All you're doing is spending money. And it's not even your money.
And you gave up a big portion
potentially, yeah, you
of
a
your
big
company
chunk of,
that you're
big chunk
doing.
Of change. And I get it. It takes money to make money, and if you don't have assets, you don't have good credit. The bank's not going to touch you. Banks are so risk averse, it's ridiculous. And that's where, the investors in the VC can come in, because you're going around the banks, and you and I are making a deal. But at the same time, it's like you still got to figure out how to sell. Right. You still got to have a decent product. I used to always laugh at the kids when I would say, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? I don't want to sell anything. I would literally stop the class. I go, if you can tell me a business that doesn't sell something, I will give you an A. You never have to come back again. And don't say nonprofit, because that's not a real business. Right. And they would you could see the wheels turning. I'm like, guys, you're going to sell. Everybody sells something. And even if you're not in business for yourself, you're selling your ideas, you're selling yourself to climb the corporate ladder.
Yep.
I'm like, do you think the smartest person climbs a corporate ladder? The smartest person rarely climbs a corporate ladder. It's that person that can build relationships and sell themselves and endear themselves to other people that climb the corporate ladder. We've all been there. Like, how did that idiot become a VP? Yeah. Right? I know that person's a moron, but they understood.
You make the company money, you make money.
You endear yourself to people, you build relationships. That's how it works, right? Yeah. All business is relationships.
True.
Some more than others.
And sales is all relationships.
100%.
Like 100, yeah.
I would tell all the kids at UNO, I would say, listen, do two things, and you will be successful in life, you'll be successful in business. I said, one, go find a pure commission-based job. A job where if you don't sell, you're not getting paid.
Yep.
I go, you learn to do that, you'll be successful in any business you ever do. If you learn to sell, right? And find a job where if you don't sell, you're not eating. Right? You learn to do that, you're going to be successful. And I would just say, go get a manager job at a fast food chain. You can manage that. You can manage anybody.
Anyone. So
you go learn to sell and you learn to manage a bunch of people who don't want to be there. There's not a business you can't succeed in at that point, in my mind.
That is a recipe for success right there. Yeah, one of the interesting things like along those topics, and this is something I learned because as a tech founder, you're very much in tech. And luckily, like through my career, I was exposed like on the government side, a lot of the business development process and like being in front of customers and selling ideas. But being a tech founder, I learned very, very quickly that your number one job as the CEO of a startup is sales. And if you're not good at it, you're going to really struggle because traction solves all problems. You want to get investor money, you better get traction. You want to stay in business, you better get traction. And so for me, it was a kind of an eye-opener that just on top of everything, defining the tech, having the vision for the company, defining the mission, interviewing the people, building a good team, keeping them, happy and moving and motivated. Sales. It's the number one thing.
And a caveat to that, what I would say too is, if you're not good at those things, in other words, hey, I want to go into business. I like painting. I want to go into business for myself. I'm tired of working for this guy or gal, and I'm tired of being on these screens. I'm going to work for myself. Fine. But if your expertise is the actual painting, and that's what you like doing, and you want to be out in the field doing that, then find somebody that can sell. Then find somebody that can run the books. Then, because you're going to screw it up. Then find somebody, like understand where you're good at, and then get the smart people to run the business, right?
Build the team to augment your...
So if you're a tech guy, fine, open your tech company, but if you're not good at sales, then you better find somebody that can do it. Otherwise, you're going to fail miserably. And we all fancy ourselves as being a quick study. I was the same way when I first opened my business. I did everything. I'm going to do everything. It's my baby. And then, I think one of the biggest things entrepreneurs need to get over is not being able to ask for help. And then understanding where your limits are and then outsourcing. The best thing I ever did was, I used to try to file all my own paperwork with the state and stuff. And I finally just got a lawyer and be like, dude, just do it. Let me know when it's done. It's worth every penny.
Yep.
And then you get somebody to do your books. Just do it, and then it'll and I know it's done right, and I'll screw it up.
Get a good lawyer, get a good accountant. Those are the two you got to have, because one's going to keep you out of jail and one's going to keep you from going broke.
Sure. And at some point, you just bring in that expertise around you, and then you can stay in that lane that you enjoy and are good at, and then you build the business around that. And I think that's a smart thing to do. It's just understanding where you want to be. Like if you want to be that CEO type that just comes in for the bi-weekly meeting, and then fine, build it like that. But now you're going to have to find the right people, which is difficult to do. You're going to have to go through some people till you find the right people, and it's going to cost a lot more money and things like that, but kind of is what it is. So, in addition to defining success, where do you want to be?
In the
company
organization,
in the company. And as the company grows, do you want to stay here? Or do you want to, where do you want to put yourself in it? Or do you want to remove yourself? Like we talked about, are you in the company or working? Are you in the business or working on the business? That whole cliche thing. And every business owner I goes like, what do you mean on the business? Like you're always in the business.
You're always in it.
Now, I guess if you get to a point where you got ample cash, and then now you're investing in other businesses, and you're playing that kind of role. Okay, I can kind of see that.
But there's a place for that, right? I mean, it's like it's really interesting when you hear people like, well, Google does this. Well, Google has Google money. They didn't do that from the very beginning. They did that after they completely defined and dominated a market and have more money than God. Like,
right.
But like, not everybody can build playgrounds at the office and offer free food and bring in chefs. Like, that's Google money. Like, after they have Google money.
That reminds me of a story. Do you remember that actor Bobcat Goldthwait?
Oh God, yeah.
So he was on like one of the late shows one time, and he was talking about how his daughter went to high school with Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, the Olsen twins. Okay. And she comes home one day, she's like, Dad, I want this bag. And he's like, that's a $3,000 bag. And she goes, well, Mary Kate and Ashley got one. He goes, Mary Kate and Ashley made $30 million last year. How much did you make? Right? And it's like, to your point, it's like, if you have that reserve of money and resources, you can do stuff that other people can't. To try to pattern yourself after that is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's interesting. And like, just talking about like finding your place in the organization, this one was, just something I was naive to and didn't even think about until I actually found this company that did it. But this company, it was a local company. They've been around for a long time. They've already had their exit, but they were founded by 4 founders. And they hired a CEO because they all knew none of them like had the skill set and the personality and stuff to be the CEO. And so they were all kind of behind the scenes. Nobody even knew who they were, that they were the founders that like built the groundwork and started building the company. But everybody thought that this guy who was the CEO was the founder, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
They brought him in because they knew none of them had it. Super smart.
You know a term I hate? I hate the term serial entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, why is that?
I get violent when I hear that term. I can't stand, because you know how hard it is being an entrepreneur. You know how hard it is just getting anything off the ground. And then for someone to say, I'm a serial entrepreneur, as if to say everything I touch turns to gold. And so I always joke, I go, oh, so you're a serial failure then? Because we know most businesses fail.
Right.
So are you a serial failure? Well, no, it's just, I understand. I'm very good at starting businesses and running businesses. I go, but if most fail, then do you really want to be a serial entrepreneur?
Right.
Just to mess with them, right? But this, you hear people say that as if to say like everything I do turns to gold and everything I do is a success. And we know that's not true. Now, if you get to a point where, again, you have a lot of assets, have a lot of reserves, and you can pick and choose where you want to put stuff, you can look like a genius then.
Right.
I think in a lot. It's like people saying LeBron's an incredible entrepreneur. No, LeBron has good money people around him that tells him where to put his money.
Right. This
is a win. Don't go with this. This one's a, things like that. You can do that when you're at that level.
Right.
People starting out, I think you got to temper your expectations on, where you go. Yes, you can be smart about where you go, what market you enter into. You can increase your chances of success being smart about where you go. But at the same time, it's like you may not have the resources to, we talked about this. There's opportunities, but can you take advantage of those opportunities?
Right. And you got to have some level of resources to take advantage of those operations. You can use AI now to build pretty much anything, but you got to have the money to like host the cloud, cloud hosting and, the Claude licenses and this, that, the other. Like there's a lot of expenses that go in that before you get your first customer where you actually start making money, maybe breaking even. Maybe you need 5, 10, 20, 30 customers to break even.
And do you have those ins to even get the customers?
Right. The network,
we all know the best product doesn't always win. That's a fact.
What is it? Beta and
Amazon and Walmart prove that the best products don't always win. Right. And even the best marketed products don't always win as well. Okay, so if we know the best product, so the whole concept of if you build it, they will come, well, that's a farce.
Oh, God, yes.
Right? And people buy inferior products all the time. People buy inferior services all the time. Right? Well, why did they do that? Well, they felt comfortable with the person selling it. They felt comfortable with the organization behind it. They had a relationship already built, and one begets the other. And so how do they not buy it? My product's clearly better than theirs. Right? The worst marketing approach ever. Our product is better than everybody else's. It's like nobody cares. Right? If that's your go-to, our product is far superior than everybody else, and here's all the the nerdology of it, it's like, you're not gonna win like that.
Right. Yeah. And the bigger the sale, the bigger the company that you're selling to, the larger the level of trust needs to be in order to close that deal.
Yeah.
And that's all built by relationships.
And the quicker they'll bail on you too, if you're not careful.
True. Yeah. I mean,
because you remember their interest is what's in their best interest. Like they're buying from you because they think it's going to help their company make more money. The second it's not doing that, you're not their friend anymore.
Right.
Or the second you become a cost, you're not their friend anymore.
Or you burn them on something.
You don't deliver. That's the worst thing you can do is overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like trying to break into like SOCOM, special forces, the teams and all that kind of stuff, and like get products and new capabilities into the warfighter, like in the special, operations area. And it takes a lot to get into that network, to get into that area. And you get one chance, right? And the second you burn, I mean, their lives are on the line. This is life and death out there. So like you screw up once and you're done. Like you're burned, you're out, and no one touches you after that.
I don't think people appreciate. We're in such a, I want it yesterday kind of culture right now, and I don't think people appreciate just the time it takes. Sometimes it could take years before your business gets a footing. Mm-hmm. It could take years before you land that key client.
Right.
What's that? Scrub Daddy.
Oh, right? Yeah. Those things are awesome.
Yeah. He said, if you see his interviews, that thing sat on a shelf in a box for 5 years because nobody wanted to buy it. And then he found it again and pulled it back down. And of course, getting on Shark Tank helps, stuff like that. But that was an idea that nobody was buying. He threw it in a box and it sat on a shelf for 5 years.
Interesting.
So to your point, like it takes time to cultivate those relationships. It takes time to get those ins, and you can't be afraid to get told no 1,000 times. Like if you get discouraged at getting told no, you're in trouble.
Yep.
You're in big trouble.
Yeah. You got to get to know fast and just keep going because you're going to have a million of them.
And don't take it personal.
Right.
Like that was a big thing I had trouble with, especially in martial arts where, yes, I'm a service-oriented business, but you develop deep relationships in that kind of environment, because, you're seeing people on a daily and you're seeing them grow as human beings. You're seeing them develop and then you're also coaching them through their personal issues as well as the stuff, in the gym. And I used to take it as a gut punch anytime somebody would leave. And then if they would leave and I find out they went somewhere else, God, I would take that so personal. And then I just had this epiphany one day. One, I realized this is not good for my mental health,
right,
and my personal health. Just to take it personal all the time. And then I had, a friend of mine / mentor was just like, "Do you think the restaurant owner cares if you go to other restaurants?" I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Well, it's like they know you're going to other restaurants,
right?
But do they stay up at night because you didn't go to their restaurant every day?
Interesting.
And I was like, man, that's some perspective right there. And I was like, yeah, I have a right to choose where I want to shop. They have a right to choose where they want to shop. I can't take it personal.
Right.
For every McDonald's, there's a Burger King. Right. And it just is what it is. Hey, best of luck to you. Door's open if you ever want to come back. I'm not going to bend over backwards to try to keep you because you've already made up your mind. But at the same time, I'm going to express, hey, I wish you weren't leaving and that. But I had to cut myself off after a while to be like, okay, I can't chase this person because they've made up their mind as what is. They have every right to do that. I can't take it personal because then I'm not focusing on my existing clients.
Right.
I still need to focus on who's in front of me and provide them the best service that I can possibly provide them and hope that now they bring more people to me as well. So, to that whole cliche, it's just business, is really so true that you can't take it personal.
Right.
Because you're going to take L's, you're going to take losses, you're going to have setbacks, you're going to make dumb decisions, you're going to have those moments, oh, I'll never do that again.
Right.
And you'll do it again. It's just
absolutely will.
And it takes 4 or 5 times before, okay, idiot, let's learn not to do that. And if you take everything personal, man, you're going to have a mental breakdown.
Yep.
And had bad health on top of it. So I think business, that's why it's so humbling. And the quicker you learn to not take things personal or any endeavor that you do, It's just like when I worked at Stratcom, or I'm now working at this new job at HDR. If someone doesn't like my idea, I can't take it personal. It's okay. They didn't like my idea. All right. Figure out how to pitch it better. Figure out how to develop that idea better.
Pivot
next
it,
time.
merge it. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't go home pouting about it, and that's why I think it's very important to compartmentalize parts of your life and not let it spill over. Otherwise, there's how many people do you know, like, especially in the military, like how many people, like, I get it, owning your job and being accountable for your job, but there's so many people that their whole personality is their job.
Right.
Their whole life is identified by their job. And I think that's very dangerous.
And it's really hard. It's funny. I think most people know that my business partner is also my wife, right? So we started working together, 9-10 years ago, and perfect Venn diagram, right? Like we overlapped enough to where we could understand each other's world. And it's just worked beautifully. Never had a single issue. It's very, very rare, and it's awesome. But the hardest thing about that is, like, everywhere you go, business goes with you. So even if you're on vacation, like, it's great because when you have to take a phone call for a customer and you got to drop everything to do something, like, she totally gets it. She's, me or her, like, we're in it together. So totally get it. But it's also hard because when do you put it aside? So we've actually gotten to the point where, like, we're going to leave the phones in the car and we're not talking about business when we go in there to eat.
It's hard to do.
It's very hard because then you'll sit there for a minute and you'll start to say something. It's like, wait, no business.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today?
I saw a podcast one time. This guy named Bedros. He owns a big chain of fitness centers, and he's like, nothing is worse than being at work and thinking about your kids, and being with your kids and thinking about work. Right? To be able to compartmentalize that, I think, is very important. But congrats, by the way. It's very rare that I always tell people don't do business with family and friends because those are the first people you usually take advantage of.
Yep.
Like, how many times you borrow money from a family member? I'll get him. Don't worry. I'll get him whenever.
Or
he's all right if I come in a little late. It's my cousin Jimmy. They're the first people you take advantage of, and they're the first people you give leeway to, and you shouldn't. At the same time, it's very hard to do.
Well, it's really funny. We've hired all 3 of our kids to do different jobs, and we fired all 3 of our kids for things. And then we brought them back, and it's just like, hopefully it's a learning experience, and they all still like us. They all still talk to us. So it's great.
I grew up working in the kitchen of my dad's bar and grill, and I didn't get hired. I was told to go show up at this time and you're going to work. That's, a classic Italian family on the East Coast. Like, you work in the business, you don't get paid. That's how you keep a roof on your head and clothes on your back.
You got to contribute. That's right.
It was your chores. And then I grew up and found out that when it comes to child labor laws, it doesn't matter when it's a family business because it's considered part of your chores. And I was like, oh.
Yep. Well, my oldest daughter and my son, they've both trained. Like, so my oldest daughter, she did Kempo with me for like 4 or 5 years. And then me and my son, we did Muay Thai kickboxing for a couple of years together. And it's really fun. I was like, it's not child abuse if it's in the gym.
Or spousal abuse.
Right.
They were just sparring. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. I don't know.
I turned my back. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. Just in general, like a lot of the parallels between, martial arts and business, like you're talking about losing students and stuff, but like losing employees, like you have employees leave, and I just always want to make sure they're leaving for the right reasons, right? Like they got an opportunity somewhere, they're pivoting and doing something else. Like we had a guy that was, he came out of the Marine Corps and he was just like, I want to be a program manager. And, so we got him PMP certified, got him trained up through that. He was with us for about a year and a half, really good program manager, just excellent. And one day he came in, he's like, hey, I'm going to go. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, where are you going? He goes, I want to be a personal trainer or a physical therapist. I want to be a physical therapist. And I was like, that's a pivot, from program management to physical therapy. And I just saw an update on like LinkedIn the other day. He's got like all the creds. He finished school. He got it. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Like that is awesome. And it just made me feel great, because like we lost him and that sucked. And I didn't want to lose him as an employee. He was a great program manager, but he wanted to do something different. He followed a dream and he did it. Right. Yeah. And I saw that and I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. People convince themselves that they like their job. I think a lot of people get into a career and then they get into it and like, man, this isn't what I thought it was. or this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or wow, this industry is much different from the inside than from the outside. But they're afraid to pivot. They're afraid to make a change. And I get that. That stability, that comfort is nice. And it's like, wow, what if I go and then I can't make this kind of money, or maybe there's not a job waiting for me, or I'm going to go back to school, which means now I got to work crap jobs for 4 years while I'm trying to get my way through school. And it seems daunting to do that. So, I admire people that are willing to just throw caution to the wind and make that pivot and give it a shot. I think it's easier when you're younger.
Like when you don't have a family, like
kids.
Like what's the worst that's going to happen? You got to go find a job.
Yeah.
I'm
broke anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be broke one way or the other.
25 and broke, who cares? Or I'm 20, whatever it is. But now, when we are established and you have some kids to worry about and you need that income, it's like, wow, a pivot seems pretty daunting at that point. That's why I think if you're going to go into business and you're young, go for it. Like when you're young, early 20s is the best time to go for it.
Oh yeah.
Because you've got nothing to lose.
Sleep under your desk.
Now it's also hard. It's also harder because you don't have the knowledge
or the resources.
You don't have the resources, and people are a little hesitant to throw money at a 22-year-old, 20-year-old doesn't know anything, but they think they have this great idea. So it's harder, but there's less risk at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, taking the big risk, like you said, there are always consequences, right? Or there could be consequences and stuff. And one thing that I'd be really interesting to chat with you about too, because I've gone through this cycle multiple times. You were talking about like when you become an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things you're going to give up, time, this, that, the other, and like health. Health is one that I see so many entrepreneurs like with that. It's interesting. So
Some of the wealthiest people I know are the most unhealthy.
Yes.
When I say wealthy, I mean they're worth tens of millions of dollars.
It's really interesting. And Stephen Bartlett, so Diary of a CEO, he said something that was really interesting on one of his episodes. And he was like, out of the 8 things that you have, and, health is one of them and all that stuff, girlfriend, wife, spouse, whatever, you got health, you've got money, you got this, and that, like take away any of them and you still have all the others. But if you take away health,
got none of them.
You got none of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. And that's the one thing that I've always found that like just gets set aside when you're going to start a business. And it happened to me, like, 35 pounds like that, like gain it.
Yeah.
Because you stop jogging, you stop biking, you stop working out.
Dude, I own a gym and a week will go by and I'll go, I didn't get my own workout in once. Because I was busy teaching classes, doing stuff for the business.
Yelling at me, saying like, your other left.
Doing stuff with the kids. And all of a sudden you look up, you're like, Jesus, I've coached myself out of shape numerous times.
Wow.
But that's also because I made it my business at the same time.
Right.
So even then I have to make sure I put it on my calendar. I make time to do it. And I'm always struggling with that because I also have other jobs outside of it as well. But it's always funny that, like I said, the most successful people, you always hear people balance. You got to balance your life. And like, who's the dude? Grant Cardone, right?
I would love to find how to do that. I've
Mr.
never
10X,
found balance.
He's the 10X guy?
Yeah,
Grant
he's
Cardone?
the 10X guy, yeah.
The dude cracks me up, and he's a little too arrogant for me. But I heard him say one time, he was talking to a group of guys, and he's like, I don't want to hear this crap about balance. He goes, I'm busier than all of you. I make more money than all of you, and I've got balance, and I make time for my kids, this and the other thing. And I'm always thinking, I wonder if you ask his kids if they say the same thing.
Right.
Because your idea of balance and theirs, you ask them, it's like dad's never around. I see him once in a while. Yeah, he takes us on cool trips and he puts us in his videos. But other than that, we see him maybe twice a month.
Right.
So like it's relative. And a lot of entrepreneurs, because they're so driven to make this thing happen, they feel like they have balance, right? Because they're driving hard. And they're putting all this energy in the business and they love it. It's their passion project and they're making it happen. And then you look up and you're like, I got 35 pounds on me and I missed 10 of my kids' soccer games.
Yep.
Like just like that. Happens all the time.
Overnight.
All the time. Because from the outside, we see business from the outside looking in. We got that TikTok, Instagram. It's like friends of mine that, they were very successful in business when they were single. And then, they started dating somebody and then they get married and all of a sudden it's a fight for time. Well, I didn't know you're going to be working all the time. Well, how do you think this thing got built? Like, you don't see the 60-hour weeks, the 80-hour weeks.
Right.
You don't see all the stress. You don't see the trips. You just see the success and the dinners and all, and on the nice car and all that stuff, but you don't see what goes in to make that happen. And then you realize it's all the missed football games and baseball games and all that stuff. And so, balance is very relative. It's in the eye of the beholder,
right?
For sure. And then, like I said, there's so many, business people, corporate people that are just unhealthy. One of my fun things to do on LinkedIn is just go see all the funny titles people give themselves, just most overbloated, outlandish titles. CEO of Sunshine and just, I'm the transformative expert or whatever it is. But there's so many people, trainers, that go, I help high drivers and C-suite people get their health back. And I always mess with them. I go, only those people? You're not willing to help the average Joe out? Right. So if you look at mine, it says health coach for the average Joe. I'm really just making fun of all of them when I put that on there. But there's definitely a vein, because they know those people their whole life is wrapped around work, and they're not eating well. They're skipping workouts. They're wholly unhealthy. Their stress levels through the roof.
Well, I'm really curious to hear from you. Like, how do you fix that?
It's like anything else. You have a calendar. You prioritize stuff on your calendar. Like you'll prioritize a meeting with your tech guys. You'll prioritize a meeting with a sales pitch, but we won't put gym on the calendar. Well, but we put it on the calendar. We're quick to move it.
Well, you know what I had to do? That's why I'm at your 5:30 class, because family's not awake at 5 a.m. Customers usually aren't awake at 5 a.m. And I'm too tired at 5 o'clock in the morning to think about work. So I can just roll out of bed, throw on the gi and get to the gym and just get it out of the way.
And if that's what you do, that's what you got. And it's painful sometimes, it's inconvenient, right? But I think that if you can make it to be a convenience, even better, right? But, when you see people, I always have clients, I want to look like that person on that magazine, or I want to look like so-and-so, look how in good in shape they are. And I'm like, well, one, you don't want to do what they do to look like that.
Right.
And two, the reason they look like that is it's not an inconvenience for them. It's their lifestyle. Eating healthy is just what they do. They don't have to force themselves to do it. They enjoy doing it. It's just what they do.
Right.
So the quicker you can make it part of your lifestyle, the more likely you'll do it on a regular basis, right?
Interesting.
And for most people, it's just not living and eating healthy and exercising. It's just not part of their lifestyle. Their lifestyle is getting up, going to work, coming home, doing some stuff with the kids, going to bed. Like that. That's the lifestyle routine. And for an entrepreneur, it's even harder, because all your energy is gauged towards this business, right? But if you can somehow make it part of the routine, make it part of your lifestyle, like, hey, health first, fitness first, and then the business, even better. But it's hard. I get it. It's easier said than done.
Right.
I own a gym, and it still gets in the way. The business part of it gets in the way of my own fitness and health.
Well, it's really funny. In the Marine Corps, we had this saying that, like, even the best laid plan, like, does not survive first contact with the enemy. And so, like, you can have the best laid gym plan and workout plan, and this has happened to me so many times. And, as soon as the first customer call comes in, or the first fire comes up at work, like, it just goes out the window. Yeah. So making, like, part of your lifestyle, like, how do you start doing that to where it's like, it doesn't matter what happens at this time, I'm going jogging. Like,
as cliche as it is, I think there's some discipline involved there. Motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're relying on motivation in business and in health and in life, you're in trouble. That comes and goes as fast as anything else. So if you're relying on motivation, you're going to fail.
No, I'm just not motivated today. I'm just not feeling it.
You got
today.
every reason in the world not to do something.
Right,
That's why home gyms don't work. There's too many other reasons not to walk in there and do your workout. Right. That's why, I always got to have a gym membership, because you're getting up, you're getting dressed, and you're going to do something. You're going to do something specific, and your mind is set to do something specific. Okay. That's why, when I was at the business college and the COVID thing hit, everybody's working from home. I go, this is trouble. This is going to be trouble. You watch. It seems cool now, but in a few years, companies are going to be calling everybody back. Why? because there's something about going to work. My mindset changes that when I put a long sleeve button down shirt on, I get in my car, I'm going somewhere to do work. If I'm in my house, there's no separation from all the other crap that's going to distract me from it. Right? And what are we seeing now? People working from home, they're more stressed. There's no separation of home and work life. They're expected to be at their beck and call 24/7 now. They're finding people actually work more now because, well, you're home and you should be looking at your email. We can call you up at any point, right? So there's actually more stress and less work-life balance now that people are working from home. And by the way, they're not more productive. That's complete dog crap.
Oh, 100%.
Right? More productive for your own stuff, but you're not actually more productive for the company. I used to have that conversation in my operations classes, right? When we talk productivity, that means very specific things in the logistics world and operations world. And we used to say, I was like, what does more productive mean? Well, if I want to walk my dog, I can walk my dog and go to the gym. I go, okay, how's that productive for me,
right? The
business owner. What do you mean? I go, okay, when you worked in the office, if you built 100 widgets a day, and you're telling me, well, hey, if I work from home, I'm more productive. What am I expecting?
150 widgets.
You better be doing more than 100 a day. Well, it's not that I can do more than 100 a day. I can do it in less time. Okay, so you're not more productive. You're more efficient at home.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. So now if you're more efficient, we're going to have a talk about pay in hours. Because if you're telling me you can do it in half the time, I'm going to give you a half a day's pay. Well, that's not fair. I go, well, if you're only working for 4 hours and you're doing 100 widgets, if you want 8 hours of pay, then you better do what? 200 widgets. Okay.
Simple math.
Now that's productivity and that's efficiency. So what are we talking about when we say I'm more productive at home? You better be closing more cases, pushing more files, making more of whatever you're making. But if you're going to tell me you can do it in half the time, okay, that's more efficient, which means maybe I have a problem in my office that you're getting too distracted. So I'm still going to pull you back in. And now that I can, okay, we can make you more efficient, which means you're ultimately going to be more productive eventually. And so I would make them think from an operations perspective, like when you say productivity, you say efficiency, those are very specific things you're talking about. So when you tell me you're more productive at home, I better see more than 100 widgets showing up every day.
Right.
Right. And if it's not, what's going on? Right.
But and that's really, really interesting too. I mean, what's really interesting is when someone will actually say the quiet part out loud. Like we had an employee, this is a couple of years ago, like this is after COVID. We still had some hybrid and remote work going on.
Right.
And they said, well, I really love remote work because I get to spend more time with my wife.
I'm not paying you to spend time with your wife.
Right. Exactly.
That's not the deal, man.
And so it was really interesting. And I don't know, like, we kind of said that and they were like, oh, wait, I said that out loud. Shoot.
Oops. Oops. And I understand work-life balance. I understand employee health. And I understand, hey, some people are truly more productive at home because they're not getting distracted and bothered. I think the corporate environment swung hard. We went from cubicle hell.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
To Facebook Disneyland. Right? And then you realize nobody's getting anything done because, life's not really all about ping pong tables and coffee stations and nap rooms and shit like that.
The Google stuff.
There's a happy medium.
Right.
Hey, you know what? There's a time and a place to let people alone so they can get work done. Not everybody needs to be in every meeting in the name of inclusion and collaboration. And we don't need to kill people with a million meetings. And we need to leave them alone. But there's a time and a place. So that there's this happy medium that I think that's what we learned out of it. And companies are trying to get to that now. And I totally diverged from your original question about how do you fit fitness and nutrition in. It's discipline and making it a priority. Like it's just like anything else. Like you make it a priority, and then it's just how important is it to you.
Right.
Like people say it's easy to say things, it's easy to have an idea, but they mean nothing until you actually put action to it.
Right.
That's why we have those goal boards up at the gym. Write it down, make it real. And if you're too cool to write a goal, then you're too cool to like get anywhere in this particular thing that you're working on. So you got to make it a priority. And I know some people that have gone so far as to put on their calendar and their instructions to their assistants, do not let me move that on my calendar no matter what. And then you make it happen. So if you need, it's really what coaches and trainers are for. They're accountability buddies is really what they are at the end of the day. If you got to find someone at work or someone in the business that does that for you, so whoever manages your calendar, hey, every day at lunch, I want an hour and a half so I can get lunch and go to the gym. Do not compromise that no matter what. Strict orders. And then let them work your calendar and let them schedule things around it. We schedule things around stuff all the time. Why can't you schedule around your workout time or around your, whatever it happens to be? So at the end, I hate to say it's discipline because there's more to it than that, but really at the end of the day, it's just sticking to your guns and drawing a line in the sand and then not letting it get compromised. Yes, business is important, but to your point, if I'm going to have a heart attack, if I'm one cheeseburger away from a heart attack, who cares how much money you have or successful the business is?
Right.
Or if you're stressed and you're going to have a stroke all the time, it's like, big deal. You can't take it with you.
Right. And that's the things, right? Like it goes back to you take away health, you don't have anything else. Right?
The other thing,
and that's the one thing you're going to want.
100%. And the other thing too is, longevity is a big thing now. How long can you do this?
Yeah.
And what do you like around the office? Like you think you're killing it, but everybody around you like, oh boy, he's on one today, right? But we know when you get your health and your fitness squared away, right? Your demeanor, your temperament, your ability to handle stress, your ability to handle adversity, your ability to work through tough situations and have those tough conversations is better. You're better at it.
I feel like we should give Kate a microphone so she could just chime in and say like how I am around the office now that I'm working out more. Had things improved.
We're avoiding Terry this week. Everybody head for the hills.
He's too bruised and sore to be a pain in the ass this week.
Yeah. It's real though, right? It's real. And I tell people too, like you have to find stuff, like do hard things. Like do hard things
over and over,
because it just builds that resilience. It builds that tough skin. It builds that ability to deal with adversity. Right. And whatever that hard thing is that you find, it could be jujitsu, it could be CrossFit, it could be hiking, whatever it is, you have to do hard things in life to help you deal with other things as well.
Yeah. And nothing beats experience.
Yeah.
And just getting out there and doing it. You can watch, we were talking about this the other day, you can watch TikToks all day long and you're still not an expert at martial arts until you've been like face down in a mat getting owned by someone half your age and then, or twice your age, and just like, 100%. Damn, got more to learn. Like that's like the most humbling experience ever. I
think you should seek out things to be humbled at.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Seek out things. Like I started growing up, I was a huge Bob Ross. I'm still a huge Bob Ross fan.
Oh, there is only happy accidents.
He is the Zen master. I cannot be in a bad mood if I turn him on TV. But, I grew up watching him. And at one point, he was the most famous painter in the world. And you sit there and you go, what this guy does in 20 minutes is nothing short of amazing. And for years, I was like, I want to learn to do that. I want to learn to do that. And last summer, I said, F it. I went and bought all the crap. Yeah. And in my garage, I started learning to try to do it. And you realize how hard it is. And you realize just what a mess you can make on a canvas.
Yeah.
But it just, it forces you to just enjoy the process and not get upset over it and just
happy accidents.
Just be a part of it. But you're so humbled by, it looks so easy. I can't figure out how to do it. And you watch them and you try to do it with them and so little things like that, like it's not humbled like getting your butt kicked by somebody, but it's humbled in like, why can't I figure this craft out?
Right.
And now it's like, do I want to really buckle down and figure it out? Do I just want to enjoy this experience? A combination of the two. And I think you just grow as a person because of that. And that helps you in business. That helps you in anything else.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's interesting. Courtney and I call that the sidewalk chalk art. Like, you see the guys on the sidewalk, and you're like, I could totally do that. I could totally do that. And then you go and you're like drawing like stick figures, like Hangman or something. You're like, oh, wow.
Music's another one too. I think everybody should learn to play an instrument. I think it develops and triggers a part of your brain that we don't normally use, that just helps you everywhere else. It forces your brain to think, like art and music just forces your brain to think in a way that you get in front of a computer or in front of a circuit board that feels natural. Your brain's just flowing, it's going good. But then you try to play an instrument or just grasp the concept of timing of music. Like why can't I figure this out?
Yeah.
But we know stuff like that forces the brain to develop.
Or take your mind from like an engineering or a business or a logistics that's like very deterministic and very straight, and now try to make sense of the chaos in jazz music.
Yeah.
Right? Like learning, playing an instrument, being in jazz or something.
Where they're just flowing and everything can work.
Yep. And sometimes like even people in the band, like when they're improvising, like they have no idea what the other guy's going to do. And it just...
I started learning to play drums with my son. He was like in elementary school, he's learning to play drums. Like, hey buddy, you want to get drum lessons? Like, yeah. So we started taking drum lessons together on a full kit.
Nice.
You talk about humbling. There's nothing more humbling than sitting there waiting for your drum lessons as a 50-year-old guy. And then you hear a 10-year-old just in there just ripping it up. And you're like, I suck so bad. How are they getting it? And but you're taking, and I'm one of those people where I'm like, I want to know how, and I want to know. It's hard for me just to let it flow. And that's why kids are so much better at it, because they're just flowing. They're just playing on sound and feel. And when you get to that is when you really start getting good at something. I mean, I'm just like, I want to understand the timing. I want to understand what to do when and this, that, and the other thing, which is the worst way to learn it. It's good to know that stuff. But then I'm with my drumming instructor, who's a fantastic instructor. He goes, Aaron, I love your questions because you want to get so technical. Nobody else wants to do that. But then I'll be asking him questions, and then at the end of the day, he goes, well, at the end of the day, Aaron, it's just, it all works. There's no right or wrong way. I'm just like, that's not the answer I wanted, man. I was like, I want to know what's the answer and what to do when. He goes, that can work, or this can work too. And just, there's plenty of elite drummers that can't read music at all. They just go on feel, and it works. And then he goes, at the end of the day, he goes, if you're ever playing with a band and you screw up, just keep going. Because the audience has no idea.
Yep.
He goes, the audience has no clue.
It's like a kata. Like you mess up, you and your instructor are the only ones that know. Just keep going and recover, and everybody will think you meant to do it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, we've hit a lot of different topics through all of this one, and I just want to circle back because, I mean, again, 23 years entrepreneur, building your business. You've taught business and operations. You've been in uniform, out of uniform. If you're talking to someone starting a business today, like what's the thing? Like you want to make it, this is what you got to do. Or like, if you don't have this, like that's the gateway to like, make sure you got it, that you can get there.
Yeah.
Like what is that piece?
I'll go back to what I said. I go, define success. Be clear on what you're going to consider success, and then build the business to drive towards that. And understand there's no guarantees. If there was a surefire way to succeed in business, everybody would do it.
Right.
And every business succeeds for different reasons. There's no recipe for success in business. There are some common things that hold true, but at the end of the day, to your point, sometimes there's a little luck involved, timing's involved, right place at the right time. But I think if you define success early, what is it that you want out of this thing? And now you know where you're going with it. I think that increases your odds of success and your odds of being much happier. And I think that's the other thing too, is know where you want to be in the business. And that's going to increase your odds of enjoying what you're doing. Right? If you're like I said, if you're the painter, but you're forcing yourself to do the books and it's agonizing for you, get that off your plate as fast as you can.
Yep.
And get somebody to do it. Like find that place where you're going to want to come to work, where you're going to be looking forward to coming to work.
You wake up excited to get there and not dreading it.
Yeah. And then plug yourself into that and then build everything around it.
Awesome. Well, this was great. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, fun.
A lot of fun.
All over the board.